Sometimes I notice something very small. A man can be sitting very still, not sad, not angry, not broken, just quiet. People look at him and think something must be missing. They think empty means wrong. They think silence means fear. They think stillness means giving up. But what if that's not always true? What if the quiet isn't a hole, but a room with the lights low, a room where nothing is shouting, a room where thoughts don't have to hurry? This is the inner world of men who feel empty inside. Not empty like nothing is there, empty like nothing is pretending. Some men learn very early that showing too much gets noticed, and being noticed can cost something. So they learn to keep things inside, not to hide, just to protect. They grow up in a world that likes noise, big feelings, big reactions, big proof that you matter. But inside, they feel something softer, something slower, something that doesn't want to perform. So they step back, they watch, they listen. From the outside, it looks like distance. From the inside, it feels like control. Not control over others, control over themselves. There is a difference between privacy and insecurity. Insecurity wants to be seen but feels scared. Privacy knows it could be seen and chooses not to. Some men don't share everything because they don't need applause. They don't need to turn every feeling into a story. They don't need to explain themselves just to feel real. Their identity doesn't live in reactions. It lives in awareness. They know who they are when no one is watching. And that can feel like emptiness to people who need mirrors. Another layer is perception. Men like this are often told they are hard to read, cold, closed, unavailable. But reading someone slowly doesn't mean the page is blank. It just means the words are written small. They feel things deeply, but quietly. They don't rush to name emotions. They let feelings sit, settle, change shape. This can look like numbness, but numbness runs away from feeling. This is staying with a feeling long enough that it doesn't need to scream. There is also vulnerability here, even if it doesn't look like it. Some men learned that being open made things worse, that words could be used later. That softness didn't always get held gently, so they choose careful honesty instead of full exposure. They share less, but mean more. This isn't fear, it's memory, and memory teaches boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks the owner controls. Another layer is autonomy. In a world that asks men to prove worth, to show strength, to show success, to show confidence, some men step out of the show, not because they can't perform, but because they don't want to. They don't confuse presence with visibility. They can be fully here without being loud. They can care without advertising it. They don't want their inner life turned into currency. And this can feel empty, because emptiness is what's left when you remove performance. But that emptiness is honest. People often assume something is wrong when a man doesn't explain himself, when he doesn't rush to fill silence, when he doesn't compete for attention. But silence doesn't always need filling. Sometimes it needs respect. Not everyone who feels empty is lost. Some are just resting in themselves. This doesn't make them better than others. It doesn't make them worse. It just means they live inward first. They don't measure their value by how much they are wanted. They measure it by how little they betray themselves. And maybe the truth that stays is this: emptiness isn't always absence. Sometimes it's space. Space where nothing has to impress. Space where a man can exist without explaining why. And maybe that's not something to fix. Maybe it's something to understand quietly.